How's it going, everybody? My name is Matthew Diolis of Shadowframe Productions, and it's Halloween time. Yes, it is. So, I am going to be doing my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. Horror movies and Halloween go hand in hand, so what better way to start with Halloween? Not the original, not the new Halloween that came out that is also called Halloween, but I'm talking about Halloween. Rob Zombie's Halloween. I'm not normally a big fan of remakes, but I loved this one. I thought Rob Zombie summed it up perfectly when he said, if the original Halloween was a short story, this movie's the novel. Okay, let's talk about zombies. Let's talk about zombies filmed in Pittsburgh, where I'm from. Let's talk about Dawn of the Dead, the original. Another reason why I don't like remakes is every time I mention a movie, I have to add, in quotation marks, the original. I can't just say Dawn of the Dead. I have to say Dawn of the Dead, the original. Okay, next up. This series I'm a fan of, but as the movies go on, the movies kind of get a little campy, which I'm a fan of too. There's nothing wrong with campy horror. Ash vs. Evil Dead is maybe my favorite series of all time, and that is extremely campy horror. I love it. But if you look at the very first movie in this series, it was straightforward and completely serious. And I'm talking about Child's Play. The first one wasn't played for comedy at all. The original Child's Play is straight horror. And it's done so well that you buy the fact that the soul of this killer is trapped inside this child's doll. I want to play a game. Saw. You know, it's funny, with horror movies, if they have a lot of sequels, a lot of them have the tagline after a few sequels, the final chapter, and it's supposed to be the final movie in that series. So a lot of time, and it's never true. So if you see the final chapter in a horror franchise, chances are they made a sequel or two after that. And Saw falls into that category because the last one was Saw, the final chapter, and they just made a new one. I'm a fan of all the Saw movies, but the original I think is the best one, and James Wan did a great job. We got more zombies on this list. This one comes from my boy, Danny Boyle. One of my favorite directors, 28 Days Later. Man, the music in that movie alone is enough to get on this list. I'm going to continue my list with the original Halloween. As much as I like Rob Zombie's, you can't beat the original. Wendy, you got a big surprise coming to you. Go check it out! My favorite Stanley Kubrick movie, The Shining. When it comes to found footage movies, some people love them, some people hate them. I loved them, but I'm kind of sick of them right now. They're kind of watered down, and there's too many of them floating around right now. What made the genre kind of cool was because it was new and fresh, and it felt real. The genre needs to go away for maybe like 10 years and then come back. Some of the best has been Paranormal Activity, the original. Although I kind of dig all the sequels. I didn't see them all, though. There's like 30 of them at this point. As Above, So Below. Excellent horror movie. That's one of my favorites. But you can't beat the first, and you can't beat the original. The Blair Witch Project. Like I said, some people hate it. I love it. One of my all-time favorites. Number 2. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is a horror masterpiece. And kind of an underrated gem from Alexander Aja. High Tension. Before I say my number 1 movie, I have to have an honorable mention, and the Friday the 13th series. The entire series. I love it. Whenever it's on TV, whenever it's Friday the 13th, I watch them. I have all the DVDs. I watch them constantly. You gotta love Jason Voorhees. Yeah, he's just the greatest. Number 1. This one, I think, is the heavyweight champion of horror movies. There's lots of sequels, there's lots of reboots, lots of remakes, but you can never recapture Lightning in a Bottle like they did with the first movie. Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was so inspired by this movie that one of the short films I did, The Tree from Black Ridge Village, kind of had the same scroll in the beginning. But yep, that's my top 10. Happy Halloween, everybody.